the message that I try to represent and set an example of and put out there means more because of people like you and because of people like me who went on for so long in a place of hopelessness, in a place of depression, and had to barrel through that, overcome obstacles. So it's not that we've attained a certain level, it's that we have hope, we have a message, and we have a purpose and a direction. And I feel like that it's our responsibility to get that out. What's up?
Hi, Sean. How are you?
No, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very nervous.
What you nervous about? We're just gonna have a talk.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
man, it's
very
good.
nervous, but all good.
For anybody that sees the video, that sees this interview, just introduce yourself a little bit and tell about, a little bit of your story, but maybe before you came to eating this way, and just tell who you are, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm Lindy, and I was born in Melbourne, Australia. So, yeah, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. I'm married with two beautiful girls, 32 and 20 years old. 52 years old now, and I've been pretty overweight pretty much all my life. As a child, I was very insecure, painfully shy. I remember my first day at school, my grandparents took me into prep and I held her skirt so tight, I kicked the teacher. I just didn't want to go there. It was totally out of my comfort zone. That's pretty much been my whole life. I'm very family orientated. I loved my parents and my grandparents, and anything outside of that was very frightening. Um, so I've always been very insecure and just shy. Fast forward, when I was 21, I had my gallbladder out. Blamed it on a bad diet, and yeah, I was eating pretty bad, I guess, but not in the way that they say. I think gallbladder is mainly because you don't have the saturated fats, and that sort of clogs up your gallbladder. Back then, we didn't know that. They blamed it on the sugars and stuff like that, which is probably true too. I don't know, but anyway. By 1996, I was 25 years old, and I'd weighed in at around 330 pounds, 150 kilos. I tried eating healthy, did a bit of Weight Watchers, calorie restriction, all of that failed. So I decided it's time to have some lap band surgery, which I did. And I did start to lose weight initially, but the emotional baggage was still there, and I slowly put all the weight back on. In 2001, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. She was just shy of her 50th birthday, so very young. It was lung cancer, which eventually went to her brain. I was working full time then, so I was able to transition my work and worked from home full time, as well as care for her and raise my family. It was very exhausting. I didn't have much time for me. It was just, I was like a robot, just caring for my family, my mum, doing my work, which was a full-time job. So I just, yeah, pretty much like a robot. I ate away my emotions it was a difficult time. I lost mum in 2007, just days before her 56th birthday, and my father passed away of cancer just a few months after that. He had been diagnosed a lot longer, but he didn't tell us until after mum passed away because he didn't want to worry us. So he had been sick for quite a while, and we just didn't know it. But that's when I really lost my way when I lost my parents. I threw myself into work. Food was pretty much a crutch to help me forget. It was comfort, and but the more I ate, the more depressed I became. My health deteriorated over the next 15 years. I was pretty much in a rut, and by 2021, I ballooned to over 300 kilos, which is around 770 pounds. That's that's what my scale goes up to. My scale actually came up with ERR, error. So I have no idea what my highest weight was. That's just, the maximum limit on my scale. So that's what I base my weight on. Health issues at the time. I had migraines every other week. They'd knock me out for a day, have all my meds to try and get rid of it, and for 2 days I'd be like a zombie because they knocked me out completely. I had lymphedema, so all my swelling in my lower part of the body was very painful. Back and joint pain. It affected mobility, my balance. I had a couple of falls in the house. Sleep apnea, pre-diabetic, vision loss. I couldn't read my computer, the TV. It just looked foreign. All the words on screen were foreign. Couldn't read anything. Now my vision's back. Periodontal disease, very severe gum disease. And when I had the fall, I actually knocked 4 of my bottom teeth out. So, and just depressed. I was in such a bad way. I was housebound. I couldn't drive. I couldn't fit behind the wheel of a car. So one really bad time was my husband actually had a bit of an episode and needed to go to hospital, and I couldn't drive him because I couldn't fit behind the wheel. So we called the ambulance, and being COVID was around, they were backlogged, and they rang back about an hour later and said, "I'm so sorry, but we're going to have to send you a taxi to take your husband to hospital." I felt terrible, so another hour passed. 2 hours waiting for this stupid taxi when there was a car in the driveway. He couldn't drive. My daughter was up in Sydney at the time, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't fit behind the wheel. I couldn't drive.
Obviously, the emotions of it all. Something as simple like as stepping on that scale and getting that error. Like that's one thing that I relate to you on. I had to order when I wasn't 700, but I was right at 500 pounds. And stepping on that scale, there wasn't I didn't have scales that could measure, my weight. So for a long time, obviously I wasn't where I wanted to be. So I just kind of put the blinders on. And obviously, losing that weight for me, and obviously for you, you look great. And you've had some amazing success as well, as everybody that watches this is going to be able to see. But that I always try to emphasize the depression and the mental change in my life as the main thing, because you can look good and you can be a small size and be unhealthy and mentally unstable. And there's so many things that affects it. And so what led you to, how did you find this way of eating? How did you find Raymond and Emily and the steak and butter gang?
Well, my sister actually started keto and she lost a lot of weight, and I thought, all right. So she sort of gave me a little bit of guidance, put me onto Dr. Ken Berry, watched a whole lot of his videos. I was really good to start. I was doing all my macros and measuring all my food and sending her pictures of all my meals just to try and keep me accountable. But I failed. I couldn't do it. The macros drove me crazy. I couldn't work, measuring all the food. And then you have all these keto cheesecake, keto lasagna, keto this, keto, and it's like, it's not helping me, because I could just go and make these recipes and I think, oh, well, that's keto. I can have a double portion of that. I mean, it doesn't work. When you're addicted to food and you use food for your emotions as an emotional crutch, that is not going to help you. So I saw Dr. Berry's video that he transitioned to carnivore. And I thought, oh, okay, that's weird. But, it might work. I'll give it a go. I do like my meat. You know, who doesn't love bacon? I'll give that a go. So I tried that, and I tried a couple of times, and you know, when your family isn't on the same page as you, it is hard. Like I'd sit there with my steak and my husband will try these, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a bit hard. And so I'd eventually fall off the wagon. And this happened quite a few times. On my 50th birthday, that's when I decided, you know, because that's when my mum was diagnosed. I need to make a change. I don't,
Right.
you know, mum only lasted another 6 years. I don't want to be that. I want to be here for my daughters. You know, I miss my mum like crazy, and I don't want my daughters to have that as well. So, but for 6 months, I just was on and off the wagon. It was so hard to maintain. I loved Bella's videos, and so in December I decided to join the SVG gang, and I sat there in the Zoom sessions. You know, like 3 or 4 up to 7 pages of people, and I had my camera off. There was no way I was going to turn my camera on because I was embarrassed of how I looked. I mean, it's looking at everyone on the screen, they were all beautiful to me. If I looked like any of those people, I would have been happy. You know, that everyone sees themselves differently, and I, you know, I understand that, but I was in such a bad way, and I was just too embarrassed to show my face on there. Hi, Emily. So I sat there through all the Zoom meetings. I was totally inspired. I loved the coaches, were just amazing, but I still struggled. I still couldn't do it. The fasting part, feasting, I mean, I could eat, but still having my husband there, eating all these snacks and things was a bit difficult. But in January, 3rd of January, I don't know, something just snapped in my head. I have no idea what, but I said, that's it. I'm going to commit. I contacted Emily and I said, I need some help. I told her my story, and she brought Raymond on board, and we had a nice chat, and they were able to customize their program to suit me. So I struggled with the fasting and feasting because I'm an addict. I've had a lot of bad habits. You know, I've got the family around me that was affecting me as well. But they helped guide me through that process, and they customized the program to suit my individual needs. So that one-on-one coaching was exactly what I needed, and they've helped keep me accountable and motivated this whole time. So I did some coaching for quite a few months. I don't know how many months now. And then I went off on my own for a little bit, and I've managed to stay on track. I still talk to them on Facebook occasionally and send them photos and my NSVs here and there. And
that is amazing. And I wish we could bottle that. Whatever it was that you got in January that I got in April of 2022,
yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I wish you could bottle that and just like give that away to people, because you know, I have no earthly idea. Like, was I a motivated individual before April? Absolutely not. I was not motivated. I was on the couch, you know, for the past 3 years. I was motivated to get up and go to the bathroom and, you know, even take a shower when I could. But it was so aggravating, you know, honestly, between you and I, you know, even my hygiene was bad at that time because it was such a struggle even to get a shower. You know, I had to sit on the side of a tub in the middle of a shower because I'm out of breath, you know? And so I don't know what that is, but I think you get so fed up with where you are that like you're grasping, and finally something in your brain just takes over, and like you got it. Like you got a hold of it. I can't explain it. Sometimes you can't put that into words, but for somebody who's been there, somebody who's done it, and somebody else out there that's going to see your story, that sees my story, that's what the point they got to get to. What am I willing to do? What am I willing to give up? And at that point, on whatever day that is in January, that's what you got a hold of. And that's amazing. And that, that's awesome. And it still takes that dedication. It still takes that consistency. It still takes that work. It still takes making good choices. You're still going to slip, but you get back up and you continue moving forward no matter what. I do want to hit some questions with you and Ray. I know you guys I appreciate both of you guys very much for dropping in. I thought it would mean the world to Lindy, and it means a lot to me because I'm all about seeing people lifted up, encouraged, stuff like that. And I feel like that just adds to the process and tells me about your guys' heart as well. So,
I couldn't have done this without Raymond and Emily. I owe all my success to them for sure. I failed on my own, and their guidance and support and their love, understanding, everything was just top notch. I can't fault it at all. I owe them my life. They're awesome people.
My whole purpose in what I'm trying to do is to get the message out of hope. And I believe that you display that. But at the end of the day, if YouTube goes away tomorrow, I'm still going to be talking to people. I'm still going to be sharing what's helped me. I'm still going to be trying to give people the best advice that I can. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just a regular dude that was a paramedic. I'm not even a nutritional coach. I'm just this crazy dude from the backwoods of South Carolina who found this way of eating, put a lot of discipline, consistency, and effort into doing what I was taught. And then now I'm just trying to share that there's hope for other people out there to do the same thing. Emily, how have you seen Lindy change since you guys started working together?
I can't even, it's hard for me to put into words about this. I will try, Sean. When you were talking about what is that moment, and I had that moment myself too, and it's a moment of being so desperate, and you have a clarity. You can see your desperate current situation, and you can see future. You get a peek into the future, and it's not getting better. It is a future that pains yourself and the people that you care about, and you're going to be a burden to the people around you. And so it's both of those things that just come together in this desperate moment. My top was 300 pounds, so I morbidly obese, 150 pounds overweight, had that same moment. And I think that Lindy and I connected about that, of just being like a large person in the world and what that's like and how invisible you are, and starting to hit, I was just starting to hit mobility issues, but that's where it was going because of my addiction to carbs and sugar and my incapacity to eat well. So watching Lindy has been phenomenal and so inspiring. She's the most gentle person, and she is a person that I saw had a really hard time putting herself first, but pretty early on, she actually identified that as a goal. And she actually literally said it and typed it and said, I have been doing for everybody else, just knowing what had happened in her own family, her own experience as a daughter, and looking at her daughter's experience. And just, she was so tied into the current pain of your choices. So you have to look at my choices now equal pain, equal death, equal burden. And that was so clear to her. That part was clear to her. The part that wasn't clear was her belief in herself. That was something that we got to watch grow month by month over time. Oh no, I'm going to cry. The changes that we saw, and that the things that she was able to accomplish through the journey, just very simple physical things that meant everything. That meant, when you're in that spot, you're watching the world, and the world's kind of different for you. What you can do is different. What is available to you is different. Lindy was always motivated by her family, her daughters, her involvement. That was like her why, And so just to watch her be able to get mobility, be there for her daughters in a different way, have them be so proud of her too, have them be really supportive in her social situations, and have her go with confidence in those situations. And what has happened lately, because we had a little break, she coached with us for a year and a half, something like that. And then she was kind of good to go. She had hit her stride and had figured it out. And so in that break between when we saw her for the coaching, she is now has the components of being an example and being a leader and a confidence. Like the confidence measure was here to negative, and it's like, ooh, it's getting up here. It's a calm confidence. It's not a false pretense. It's not look at me, what I did. It is an empowerment, something empowered from inside of her. And the way that she speaks, the way that she looks, the way that she holds herself is a completely different person. But I like to think, and I do think that person was there the entire time. It has just been uncovered by her choosing day after day after day to prioritize her health and to stick with this program that she knew was going to work, stick with carnivore. The fasting piece was an optional that came and went, but she was so determined, that confident in that this would work. And she was right. If you tell yourself this will work, it's right, it will work. And if you tell yourself, I can't do this, this is too tricky. So yeah, just amazing.
That is that is amazing. That is awesome. Just hearing it, and it never gets old hearing those things. It's not that you're doing this to become valuable. You are valuable already, and therefore you can enable these things in your life. And she's just living that out in display, and that's amazing. Ray, what is something that you have tried to help Lindy with, or you have seen Lindy implement in her life? That you think that everyone could benefit that you've seen in her?
Well, our biggest thing is what we teach in class is the priming. So, if there was one thing that really made a difference in her as far as allowing her to not have carb cravings. I mean, imagine, you used to be 500 pounds. That craving's just intense, right? It's like drags you in almost zombie-like, right? So without the priming, I think it'd be a white knuckle, just like she said, she's tried it over and over and over again. That's why. And really, once we had that tool on her, that really helped out a lot. But that's just one incident I think that really peaks out.
Absolutely. That's good. So, if you guys, Emily or Raymond, either one, if you could go back to day one, what would you change anything that you guys have seen in Lindy and the experience, or maybe give some form of advice as far as that could be implemented for me or anybody else that can help them out that you've seen in her journey?
One thing really that I kind of really, we did, but I wish we had the day one pictures.
We do now. And they said to me, take photos, you don't ever have to show them, but just for your own reference. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I never did. And now I'm going through all my photos, trying to find photos of how I was, so that people believe, yeah, I was at that stage. I haven't really got a lot of photos. And yeah, I do regret that, not taking measurements and photos. So even though if you hate yourself that much, do it, because you will regret it later.
Wait, here's another, yeah, I agree. Here's another interesting way, right, to think about this. So those photos, Lindy, which you would have hated taking and cringed just by taking it, right? And then now you're actually saying, I would love to have those photos. In this way, in a kind of deep way, if you think about it, you're actually loving yourself for being fat back then.
I'm just proud of myself for how
Exactly. And then how far you've come. But the thing is now you're loving the whole body, your past and your present. So that even is why it's important to have those pictures.
Now you gonna cause me to cry. Now you gonna cause me to cry, because that's real, and that's real life. That really is what it's what it is about, and I can relate to you on that. I've got tons of pictures of me being big because I've been big my whole life. But I've got 3 pictures because every time the people that love me would go to try to take a picture of me, get that camera out of my face, those kinds of things, because I didn't love myself. I was ashamed of myself. I was embarrassed of myself. I thought that I was worthless. I thought all these things that were so untrue about me. And, I was living in captivity And the person who had the keys to get out of that captivity was me, and I couldn't defeat myself. And when you finally start moving forward, I believe that's what it is you decide that you don't have to live that way anymore, that you're the one holding yourself captive and you're the one that you have to overcome. And I feel like that it's a mental transformation. You change that mind, and the body is the easy part to fix. I honestly believe that. Emily, what about you? If you could go back and change anything that you have seen over the last, however long, is there anything that you could mention or advice that you would give?
My crystal ball's broke. Dang it. And so
Right.
as I work through it, I think about that she did hit some opposition from some doctors that said some really rude things to her. And so to me, I was like, I wish I would have, given a little, you might not get the support that's here in your heart and that's here in this coaching room and that's here in our community. And so just to, give people that are starting that it's going to hit professionals sideways, and they might say some things to you that could feel crushing because it's coming from someone in a white coat. And so just to know that we've got you, you've got yourself, we're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of history on this one. There's no doubt about it. So just a little bit of forewarning, I suppose, anybody that's starting out and is, thinking that that they're gonna get a lot of support along the way. You will, from us, from your community. But in the white coat world, probably gonna be a different story there.
That's good. That's good info too, because and honestly, if me and Emily sit down, or me and Ray sit down, or even me and you, Lindy, if we literally sit down and go through each and everything and try to decide whether we agree or disagree, I can guarantee you there are going to be many things that all of us disagree on. My thing is, we don't have to agree. The thing is, I can love you, I can support you, I can encourage you, and I can see you successful, regardless of whether I don't 100% agree with my wife. We just been celebrated 21 years of marriage. Okay, I love her more than anybody on this planet. I would give my life in without thinking about it for her. I don't agree 100% with everything that she agrees with. So you're not going to agree. We don't have to be at odds and be combative, even in this space. And I think the carnivore, keto community is phenomenal community. I think there's not another group of people like that. We're going to disagree. We don't have to be defined by that. We can encourage and see each other be successful and have their lives changed, regardless of whether we agree 100% or not. So I think that is a huge point. And the last thing, obviously, that I definitely want to get from you guys is any message that you want to leave with Lindy.
Lindy, you have been a life changer for me, and our connection has been that. And watching you thrive has been one of the most exciting thrills in my life, and we've kind of done that together. And so I just want to let you know how honored I am to have been part of it, and how proud that I am to know you. And I'm just like, I know her, like she's my friend and she did this thing. So just incredible work.
Yeah, for me, Lindy, wow. It was so surprising having a 400-pound drop in 4 months. I'm like 100 pounds per month. I couldn't believe it, and I still had a hard time believing it, watching it in front of me as you just kind of shrunk away from the screen, smaller and smaller. I'm just, it blew my mind. I've never seen something like this. And I've watched those My 600-Pound Life and all of those bad stories, right? And the only thing I ever see is them getting worse. So you have no idea what happens when they are reversed, right? But you watching it, and I just, it's just, I mean, you look younger. You look much younger. You look like your skin is shining. And I'm talking about compared to before. And I actually have these pictures. You are ghostly white most of the time. Look at you now. I actually have some sun. I mean, there's such a night and day difference, not just in your looks, but obviously this shows your health. So that gave me so much hope. I was like, wow, if you can do this, and just another person that weight and says, oh my God, I don't have to die from obesity, could change that. But it takes somebody to be brave enough to actually have done it. And who cares what your formula is, right? It just gave them hope. And it doesn't matter whether they think it can be done or not. You've proven that you can be at it for a year and a half already. So that, some people would just give left arm for that. I know I would. I mean, this is something serious. So really, I want to appreciate you for that. And like I said, I can't wait. Thank you so much for getting your word out there too, because I know that was hard for you to contemplate, and you finally did it. I'm so happy about that. So thank you.
I feel like I've made 2 friends for life here. I love these
Yeah.
guys so much, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. Yeah, I owe them everything, you know. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
the-
for bringing them on. That was lovely.
Like you talked about your journey, how you came to it. I want to go back, if you don't mind, and just like, what does your family think? You said, your family weren't eating this way. I don't know if they do now. What do they think about you, the way that your life has changed and the way you eat? What did they think then, and what do they think now?
Well, there's not much of my family left at the moment. So
Yeah.
my sister's still doing keto, and she's still doing really well. She's supportive of the carnivore diet. Like if we do have a family get together, she'll bring some, carnivore options for me or provide for me. So she's very supportive. My girls are very supportive. Same thing. They always provide carnivore options, and if we go out, we go somewhere where we've got food that I can have. My husband, he's pretty good as well. He's mainly carnivore, 98% carnivore. He does still like his iced coffees and a few little treats, but I'm okay with that, If we go out, we like to go out maybe for a Sunday breakfast. We go to a little cafe, we just order bacon and eggs. It's all clean there. And he'll have his iced coffee. I'll just have my water. But we eat their bacon and eggs, and he can drink that. It keeps him, doing well for the rest of the time. It's something that he enjoys. So, he does what he does. I restrict, because if I have one, I'm going to want more. I just don't want that craving to happen. So I'm a bit harder on myself, and that's how I maintain what I'm doing. So
Absolutely. It was tough for me too when I started, because my wife and my kids weren't eating carnivore. They weren't eating keto or anything like that. But now my wife is. My kids mostly do, but not all the way. But my wife's been doing it, I guess, 4 or 5 months now, and she waited, and saw that journey on me, and finally decided for herself, I'm ready to go through with this thing and get it done. So, that's amazing. So how do you judge success? Like, what is there is there something that obviously you've been successful, you've seen a lot of benefits and a lot of great things happen since you've been doing this, and it's tremendous. It's almost unbelievable. If I hadn't had an unbelievable story and heard the testimony and been involved with it, hearing your story is unfreaking believable. It's amazing, and it needs to be told. But like, looking forward, because we're always pushing forward, right? What point could you get to say that you were successful, like in the future? Like, what would you judge? How would you judge that?
my goal is going abroad with my family, and actually going out and being able to do tours and walk around without having my back being on fire and my hip playing up. And the weight loss, as much as I needed to lose it, the health benefits that I've got from being on this way of life, this way of eating, have been phenomenal. I can stand cooking up now. I can wash the dishes. I don't have a chair in the kitchen anymore. Like when I cook, everything's standing up. I used to sit. I go from one seat to the other around the house, walking up and down the hallway. Everything was such a chore. Now I'm, buzzing around the house doing things, and that is amazing. I just didn't think I'd get to that again. So those health benefits are definitely something to look forward to. And in the future, I'm just improving every day. I just find there's a few less aches and pains here. Like I've done damage to my body, obviously. I've got a lot of loose skin. My joints are a little bit sore. Mentally, I just want to go. Physically, my body's not quite there yet. I try to exercise and then I'm, laid up for a day or two because I've overdone it. So I really have to be mindful of that and just take things slowly. And my body will eventually catch up, to my head. But that's my goal is my daughter's already planned our itinerary. We've got a couple of trips planned. The youngest, she's 20 at the moment. She just wants to travel. She just come back from Japan and she wants to take us to Japan. She wants to go to Europe. My mum's side, English. My father was Italian. My father was born in England. So we've got family all over, and I want to see Raymond and Emily one day, so meet them in person. So there's so many things I want to do, but I need to improve my physical health so that I can get out there and walk around and experience life again.
That's
outside the four walls.
That's an awesome goal, and that's a good thing. And I cannot wait to hear this. I want to see the footage. And I want to hear the story. I can't wait. I know it's going to happen, and I know it's going to be great, and it's going to be a great experience for you as well. And so, just a few more. Like, what does a day of eating look like for you now?
Usually 2 mad. Occasionally, I'll just do an OMAD. But I eat when I'm hungry. I haven't had anything this morning. It's nearly 10 o'clock in the morning here. I probably won't eat till about 1:30, and I'll have maybe a steak just with salt. I'm sort of doing mainly lion diet at the moment. And then for dinner, if I'm hungry, I'll have another steak or a half. Sometimes I can eat a whole steak. Other times I just put the rest in the fridge and have it as my next meal later on. So that's really all I do. I stay away from dairy. I find that stalls me a lot. It stops the stowels moving. Sometimes I get a bit inflamed with it, so I stay away from dairy. I'm not drinking coffee. If I do have a coffee, it's if I'm socializing. My friends will have their sweets and treats, and my treat is a coffee, and because I love my coffee, but it doesn't affect me, but I just choose not to have it daily or, just one of those other moderation things that I do for myself, so to keep me on track.
That's probably a good idea. I cut it out for 5 months, and then I added it back in after 5 months, and here I am. I've always drink it black. I don't add anything to it, but I'm like, after, talking with Dr. Chafee all the time, I'm like, man, he really opened my eyes to it. And I'm like, man, if I could get rid of this addiction that I've allowed back in to have stronghold in my life. Have you given thought to the YouTube thing? Have you thought about starting one and putting some stuff out there, or are you just pondering it, or what?
Not really. I don't think I've got the time. I'm pretty busy. I work full time and I've got stuff on, and I don't know what to say. Like, there's a lot of channels out there, and it's just going to be more of the same thing, I think. I'm happy to do a couple of little interviews to tell my story, and happy for, if people do want to get in touch, I'm happy to talk to people. They can sort of join SBG Gang. It's free. You don't have to go for the challenges. You can join the free forum, and I'm on there as well. So they could contact me through there, or, maybe through you can give them my details. I'm more than happy to help.
Awesome.
But I don't think I'm going to go to the YouTube channel.
If you had a message for that person out there watching this video, whether it be tomorrow or next week or 10 years from now, what is the message that you think would be most valuable to them? Like, what would you share with them and tell them if they were starting where you were?
Oh gosh, just give it a try. What have you got to lose? You got everything to gain by giving it a go. And it is difficult, but find a community. That's a big thing that helped me. Initially, I did find it daunting being in my position where I was the largest, and still am. I was the largest person in the group. but reaching out to Emily and Raymond, that took a lot of guts. It's not something I would normally do, and that changed my life. I needed that one-on-one personal coaching just to get me over that hump, and now I can maintain. So definitely, if you can do that, you know, they've got big shoulders, they can cope with anything, and they don't tell you have to do things this way, you know, they customize it to suit you, you know, and that was a big game changer for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Any other message or any other advice that you want to leave before we close the video out and everything else? Like, I want you to have ample opportunity to share anything that you feel like is important, or anything that you have ever wanted to say to the world, to society, to, you know, that person, anybody for that matter. This is your time. I want to make sure that you have that time as well.
I'll just keep an open mind. The carnivore diet is not all bad. You know, there's so much flack out there about it, but look at the results. Look at all the comments and all the videos, and look what people are reversing and turning around and getting rid of medications. And, you know, that's got to be a huge testimonial. You know, don't diss carnivore until you've given it a try. You know, and yeah, good luck with it. You know, you're silly if you don't give it a go.
Absolutely, I agree, and I do want to say thank you, Lindy, for being on the channel, for agreeing to come do this video. I hope it means a lot to you. I hope it, you know, encouraged you. I hope it, you know, whatever, you know, it helps you along your journey. Because, you know, just seeing where you started to where you are now, and I know as well as you know, maybe both of us know, you know, I'm not where I want to be completely yet, but I'm so thankful to God that I'm not where I started. I've come a long way, and I know that for both of us, the best is still yet to come. You know, it's still in the future for us. And we've got that hope. We're getting that confidence. We're getting the ability and the potential back to not just exist in life, but to thrive, to be optimal, and to see and experience and enjoy life. And I feel like that makes everything that we've done in our journey so far worth it. You know, all the pain, all the suffering, all the things. Nothing's going to ever take the pain of losing loved ones or loss away from us. And however, we can live in two ways. We can live with risk, or we can live with regret. We don't want to live with the regret of you know, not taking those opportunities to improve our life and to try to do the best with what remains, you know. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that's important, and giving people hope, man. I heard somebody one time say that you can live 4 minutes without air, you can live 4 days without food, but you can't live 4 seconds without hope. And once you lose hope and you lose the will to go on, that's a very desperate and dangerous place to live. And, you know, anybody out there that sees this video, I want them to be encouraged and see your story and see my story and see the examples and see the answers of what we can offer, and just let you know, look, there is hope for the future. There is a brighter tomorrow. And I appreciate you so much for coming on here and doing that. And I appreciate you being in the, you know, even in the group with us. You know, I hope you find encouragement there, and anybody else is welcome to join there as well. I hope that's what it's designed to be, is an encouragement, to give you some tips, to give you some encouragement to walk the journey with.
Thank you, Sean. It's been amazing. Yeah. And you've been wonderful. I love watching your journey, and we'll continue to get there slowly, slow and steady, but we can do it.
Absolutely. Sounds good. And you stay in touch, friend, and we'll see each other around for sure. And anything I can do for you, just let me know. Okay. You know how to get a hold of me.
Will do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and you take care.